This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Mark. And today's guest makes me want to read more dictionaries, but old slang ones. He's Joe Cannon from Resurrectionists. Joe comes from a family that isn't exactly musically inclined, although his dad did play a mean steering wheel. Joe didn't start pursuing music seriously until he went to Notre Dame in South Bend. At that point, he really got into it. He not only played music, but he also got national touring acts to come to South Bend to play with his band in their basement. Music was such a force in him that it caused him to delay his work on a PhD at Northwestern. And what's really weird is his reading of the German writer Thomas Mann inspired pandemic-themed lyrics in his new album that were written in 2019. Kind of spooky. He's a self-taught banjo player, a collector of slang dictionaries, tambourine enthusiast, and creator of his own occasional film festival. That last part is because he decided that Resurrectionists would make a video for all 9 tracks on their new album, Now That We Are All Ghosts. Go to Resurrectionists MKE on YouTube to check out all the videos. Follow the band on Facebook and Instagram. Grab the album from Bandcamp. Follow us at Performance ANX on Twitter and Instagram. We accept money for coffee at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. We humbly offer merch with our cute little logo at performanceanx.threadless.com. And now get out your Dictionary of the Vulgar Tongue and check out Joe Cannon of Resurrectionists on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Yes. So, what am I like? Is it saying like, "Hey, this is Joe Cannon from Resurrectionists," and you're listening? Is it only audio? Okay. This is Joe Cannon from Resurrectionists, and you are listening to. This is Joe. This is Joe Cannon from Resurrectionists, and you are listening to Performance Anxiety. Our new album is out, and it is called Now That We Are All Ghosts, and you can find it on Bandcamp. Awesome.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, thank you for joining me. This hopefully should be some fun here.
Well, all right. I like fun.
All right. I'm getting to like it. So, I don't know if Howard...
Jury's out on fun.
It is, it's overrated. Fun's overrated. A little misery now and then doesn't never hurt anybody, right? So you do have a really cool new album out.
I do.
All right, so it's called Now That We Are All Ghosts.
Yes.
By Resurrectionists.
Yes.
And I have a lot of questions because it was such a unique sounding album, and I loved it.
I'm glad.
So cool. I've seen it classified here as Doom Chamber Americana. Which,
we come up with genre names for sport.
I love it. It's as unique as your album and your song titles.
Well, thank you.
So I love Doom Chamber Americana. It's actually very accurate, I think. You've got this new album out, but it's not the only project you're in. I mean, you're in a ton of other bands, and today we'll kind of want to focus on Resurrectionists. But I mean,
right.
Action Chief. You play with Conan Neutron.
Yes.
There's Work, Delicious Monsters. It's
Work hasn't been an active band for several years.
Okay.
So, and Action Chief is a project where we get together when we can. So if in terms of things that I'm actively doing, it's Resurrectionists, Delicious Monsters, and when I go on tour with Conan sometimes.
Okay. You've been busy. I mean, you're busy now with 3 different projects, and you've been busy in the past. When did music really start to get its grips around you? I mean, were you a kid? Was it something that was in the house a lot?
It wasn't so much in the house. It's interesting. Neither of my parents were particularly musically inclined. I think my dad, if he had grown up differently, he would have, because he was like one of those dads that would like drum on the steering wheel. Yeah. But that was about it. I mean, he was pretty good on the steering wheel.
Hey, he played a mean steering wheel, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it was high school for the most part, although I didn't really play in any bands that really played in front of people until I got into college. I was like in high school, I was like a bedroom guitarist.
Okay. Was guitar the first instrument you learned how to play?
Yes. I did piano lessons for a bit, but it wasn't like, it didn't fill me with joy. So
was it the typical parents making you take piano lessons?
Yeah, unfortunately, I had a piano teacher who recognized that I would rather be playing guitar, and kind of like, it was weird when the piano teacher convinces your parents to let you stop doing piano lessons.
That sounds like my dad, actually. He had to take accordion lessons when he was a kid, and the accordion teacher told my grandmother, I'm not going to teach him anymore. I don't want you to waste your money.
All right.
Pretty brutal, but that's the way things were in like 1959.
Right. So, right. The stakes were high with the accordion.
Exactly.
Just like,
he was vying for that Kingston Trio spot.
Yeah.
When did singing start to enter the picture?
Oh, that would have been, well, I always sort of started bands because I was writing songs.
Okay.
And so I've always, I write the song, I sing the song. I've never considered myself to be like a singer, it's just in that sense where it's like, I'm a vocalist, meaning like I can make vocal sounds that work for the kind of music that I make. I love it. And yeah, exactly. And so like, it's been a long development to get to the unsteady state that I'm currently in.
When did you decide to start singing in front of people and get a band together and start going out and playing live?
Early, I tried a little bit here and there in high school, but I only really started writing songs that I felt comfortable performing in front of people in college. So yeah, college bands, like, which for me was like the early to mid 90s. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So what was the first band you started recording with? Because I'm looking at bands. You've got, so we mentioned Action Chief, you play live with Conan Neutron.
Right.
What was the first time?
The first band that actually released anything.
Yeah.
Was my college band called Emily. And that was, and so we put out a couple of tapes. We put out 2 7-inches and like a short album on CD and all between like 94 and 96, I believe, was when we were actually releasing things. No, we had something as early as 93, but that was a tape. And that band got a little bit of recognition in kind of like the punk and hardcore scene, sort of like that whole scene where it was like the bands that were getting distributed by like Ebullition and so we'd get reviewed in like those fanzines that splintered off from Maximum Rock and Roll when that happened. Okay, that era is what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, before emo became a bad word.
Right. This is all taking place where? You're in Milwaukee now. Is that where you're from?
No, I'm not. I grew up in the DC area, and I went to college at Notre Dame. So this is South Bend, Indiana, where Emily is starting.
Okay.
Yeah. We had this weird scene in South Bend because there aren't any there at the time. There was like pretty much no legitimate venues for underground music in South Bend. And so, there was this small group of us, probably, gotta be maybe like 50 or 60 people total And and like, and between us, we had like 12 bands. I didn't know how we did it. And then we would bring national bands in, and they'd play in our basement.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Before you skip over this ad, give me 1 minute. Like most podcasts, I pick sponsors carefully, and I use the products that advertise here. Pure Spectrum CBD is a product that has been really beneficial for me. They have a wide variety of great products that can be used on a daily or as needed basis. I've been using the tincture every day, and it's been wonderful for easing anxiety. And I absolutely love the isolate. I use it instead of acetaminophen or ibuprofen, and it's worked so well for the relief of aches and pains. They also have soaks, lotions, salves, gummies, and more, plus an entire line for fitness recovery. They even have products for your pets. See everything they offer at purespectrumcbd.com. And if you have questions, they're there to help. They helped me when I had no idea where to start. After you fill your cart, use code PerformanceANX for 15% off your purchase. Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD. Wow.
Yeah. Emily opened for Unwound in my basement.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man, those guys were good.
Yeah. And this is like 95, I think, 94, something like that.
Oh, wow. That's pretty. So,
Yeah.
All right, well, you said the D.C. area. Whereabouts?
Maryland suburbs like Rockville.
Oh, okay.
Rockville, Potomac.
I'm right down the road. So I live in Winchester, Virginia.
Oh, okay.
So not too far away.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't spent much time I don't have any family in DC anymore. It's like my family all lives in Providence, Rhode Island now. And so
no reason to come back.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's very, but it's like when I will sometimes catch myself, like when I'm going to visit family saying I'm going home, but I'm like, wait a second, I've never lived in Providence.
That is awesome. So one of the cool things I'm really digging about Resurrectionists is the banjo in it.
Yes.
When did that come into the picture?
So I bought a banjo and when I was living in Chicago. So to get the history right, I went to Notre Dame, graduated there, stayed for a couple of years because I was playing with friends and I was working in a mental hospital. And then I went to graduate school at Northwestern. I got a PhD, and it took me an obscenely long time to do that because as soon as I got there, I started playing music and splitting my attention between academic work and playing music. And so I was in Chicago from like 96 to 07 and actively playing music from about 99 on until I moved to take up a teaching job out in Idaho.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was in Idaho for a year, and then I've been in Milwaukee ever since.
And then you're like, Idaho.
I've been in Milwaukee since 2008.
Okay.
So probably around 2003, I can't remember exactly which year, I was playing in this garage punk band called The Afflictions. And our singer worked at Specimen Guitars. And he called me up one day saying, hey, Joe, there's a K banjo they want $300 for. And I was like, all right, I'd sold. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Nice. And so that was the first time I ever picked up and played a banjo. And then I just started hacking around with it, and it started making sounds that I liked. And when I was in Chicago, I had two projects that featured the banjo. One was a solo thing I called Marylander. And actually, one of the songs on the Resurrectionist record is an old Marylander song, a song Break and Enter Part 2.
Oh, cool.
All the booze in the world won't bring her back. And you're walking that building alone. All the booze in the world will get you on the right track. Yeah, so that was a revisiting of that song. And I also played in a band called Early Risers that was featured banjo, and that was banjo, me playing banjo, my friend Janet from The Afflictions playing keys, and then Steve Sostak playing saxophone, and the rhythm section of an Iowa City hardcore band, Bob and Zach from 10 Grand.
Oh my God.
We recorded some really great stuff, but we never released it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
Do you still have that stuff? Is it floating around, or you?
Yeah, no, it's up on a Bandcamp page.
Oh, cool. Oh, man. Yeah. That sounds amazing.
That was where the banjo started.
Okay. What I like about it is your approach to the banjo. I mean, it's not bluegrassy. You're not a mile a minute picker.
No, I don't know how to play it, is the thing.
Well, you're an unconventional banjo player.
You're very kind.
So, all right. I listened to the very first Resurrectionist album, and it sounds quite different from the second one. There's definitely a little more twang, a little more country, sense of pedal steel, and the songs are awesome. Mattress in the Hot Kingdom. I love that song. I mean, the riff is this awesome driving riff. But
we were very excited when we came up with that one.
I love it. It's got this lilting pedal steel in it that's just beautiful, and it just works together fantastic.
Yeah. It was an interesting. It was a little bit of a challenge when we went from having the pedal steel to not.
Yeah. I'm definitely got to ask you about that, because
we were playing with my friend Gavin, who is a pedal steel player, a very good one, but also into weird rock music.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so, he was great to play with, and we wrote a bunch of good stuff, but then he moved.
Oh.
He moved to upstate New York. Ooh. And in 2019. And so we kind of figured that we were never going to be able to replace him with another pedal steel player in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I don't imagine
there's not a lot of them, and they don't tend to be into weird rock music. It's like if we'd found a pedal steel player, it would probably be somebody who, because this was the sort of singular thing with Gavin, where he's like, it's a pedal steel player. He's good at it, but he also doesn't just want to play like traditional country music. Right. He was into playing in this odd ensemble, so it was great. But then when he left, we didn't try to replace him with another pedal steel player. We asked my friend John John I always thought of and always knew him as a sort of very deep listener. He's I call him our unofficial music historian. And he had been in a lot of really interesting bands over the years. And so I just kind of showed him the songs and said, I don't know what to do with this. We had a pedal steel player. What do you think?
Right.
And he brought some really interesting things in. He alternates between playing a heavily affected 12-string guitar and a mellotron.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you brought these songs to him, and I noticed it because I was listening to the first album, And my favorite Resurrectionist, like Resurrectionist Mark 1.
Yeah.
My favorite song is Don't Want to Tell Them About a Girl.
Ah, yes.
It's so spooky. I love the rough version. That is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm glad we left that up. That was something I put up like before we had any legitimate recordings. And I was just like, people were asking what we sounded like. And I'm like, they are literally voice memo recordings on an iPhone. That's what they are.
I did see that note when I was looking it up, and I thought, "Oh, okay, this is cool." And I love the rawness of it that way. I think that's just such a cool document of a band at a certain point.
Right.
I love it. But that song is so spooky. I love the rough version. I love the version off of the first album, which I've got right here. What Comes In.
And then that was one of the ones we reimagined when John joined.
Yes, and that's my favorite version.
So the three-songer is basically, we had songs on, so John learned all of the songs and like wrote parts to all of the songs. Okay. We didn't re-record all of them. We just selected those three to re-record because we wanted to have some kind of a document of John playing that, some of the original set of songs. Yeah. And it was we were also using it as a kind of like teaser before we finished this album. So like, we wanted to release that and have like, here's something to talk about, here's something to listen to while we're waiting for the vinyl to be produced, right. Which takes approximately 17 years at this point.
No kidding. And what I really like about that is that you can go back and forth and compare the different versions, which is, I love that. And I beat them, and Don't Want to Tell Them About a Girl on with John playing is, I mean, it's just got this sinister quality to it.
Right.
Are like glass, it's heaven. Bikinis from the back on the savannah.
I think that version is my favorite version.
And then I start ripping off Roxy Music lyrics at the end.
I won't say anything. So.
Right. Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's like the central lyric in every Dream Home a Heartache. Is there a heaven? Yeah, I mean, it's like when you're quoting at that point. Right. It's like I intend you to know that I'm pulling this lyric from this famous Roxy Music song.
All right. Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but it is pretty. Yeah. Okay. So did you guys play out a lot when you guys first did this re-recording?
So John joined the band. The first show he played with us was October of 2019.
Okay. So it was,
and so then like 6 months later, the world ended.
Yeah.
So we played a number of shows with John, but then when the pandemic hit, we decided we were in each other's bubbles.
Okay.
And we kept working, and so we worked on recording this, and we worked on writing music. So that was kind of how we kept going. But then, when the world started reopening, I'm trying to remember when our first show back was after the pandemic. Might have been that summer. There's this event in Milwaukee called the River West 24. Okay. My neighborhood I live in. It's a 24-hour bike race
Oh, wow.
that becomes this like 24-hour like neighborhood party. And I believe our first show back was like playing one of the events there in like 2021.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I have a question for you about the song titles, because
yes,
specifically on the new album, they're very interesting.
Okay.
I mean, I don't. First of all, the album title is "Now That We Are All Ghosts."
Yes,
which I think that's great. But so we have a classic dictionary of the vulgar tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first of all, that is a killer song.
Slipped its reins in the library. Who would have thought this is how we'd come undone? Oh, boy, here it comes.
You've got this gentle banjo and it just suddenly erupts into blasts of feedback, and that's the stuff I love.
Yeah, it's a dreadful little song. I mean, it's about dreadful things. It's about the kind of like our apocalyptic and inability to speak with each other anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's like that's the disinformation trending towards civil war. Hence the chorus being the chorus just being, "Oh boy, here it comes."
But that's so accurate.
Yeah,
because it's still coming.
Yeah.
So how do you come up with the song titles? I mean, is there...
I'm trying to remember. So that there is... I picked that up from like... I collect dictionaries of slang and underworld argot.
Oh, cool.
And I have like 4 or 5 of them now. I just but I believe that I can't remember whether I came across an actual dictionary of the vulgar tongue, or if that was just like an idea I put together. I can't remember now whether it was something I found and adapted, or whether it was like me spinning something out from these like these underworld slang dictionaries that I have.
Oh,
which of course I poke through them to, like, for example, the lyric in a classic dictionary referring to affidavit men.
Right. Yeah.
And that's like, I pulled that from one of these dictionaries of the underworld. And like an affidavit man is somebody who will lie for you on the stand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now I'm suddenly interested in these dictionaries.
They're fascinating.
That sounds amazing.
They're like songwriting encyclopedias. They're great.
Imagine that must be able to get so much inspiration out of this stuff.
Yeah. Well, and also you do, like the unfamiliar turn of phrase kind of thing, where it's like, odd and compelling word choices. And like, so I'll use these dictionaries to like express an ordinary idea in an unusual way by messing with the words I'm choosing, that kind of thing.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. With Resurrectionists, and I heard this, and I don't remember if it was Resurrectionists or if it was one of your other bands, where you come up with a song title first and then work the lyrics around.
That was Action Chief.
Oh, actually, okay.
Yeah. The project of Action Chief came out of Conan and I talking about like let's come up with the. I mean, it didn't end up being perfectly this way, but a lot of it was like one of us would come up with the song title and the other one would have to write the song.
Oh, that's amazing.
That kind of thing.
I love it.
It ended up not working sort of perfectly that way, but yeah. I mean, and he had that project where he had that split with Secret Friends, had that split with Erratic Retaliator Strategy, where they like each band each one was the side of a record and the song titles were the same. So they took the same song titles and wrote songs with them, and they're entirely different songs.
Oh my God, I didn't know about that. That is amazing.
Yeah, it's a cool project.
I got to look that one up because that sounds amazing. That's a really wild idea. I love that. So another one that another song off the new album that just has this awesome energy to me is Blue Henry.
Mm-hmm.
I love the energy of that song. It's just it just builds. I love it.
The ghost appeared but was mute. Yeah, I hoped it would speak, but it won't speak to you. To the toe crackers and their publicists, it whispered only arthritis.
I'm pleased with that one. That might, in terms of like performance, in terms of like capturing on the record what I wanted that song to sound like, I think that's the best song.
Yeah,
like that's the one where it come out of the end of it. I'm like, yeah, that song sounds like I wanted it to sound.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
that and Hotel with Pool are vying for my favorite on the album.
Good.
Because I love the way Hotel with Pool ends. It just builds and just kind of the song just kind of explodes.
All life together. No, I can't wait to begin. All life together.
Yeah, no, we were like, we originally intended to just like fade that out, but then we were like, no, we're just gonna.
You can't. That makes that song so much better. I love that.
Yeah, no, that was like, we were like, are we leaning into this? Are we going to be ridiculous? We're like, yes, we're going to be ridiculous.
Yes, and that's what I love. I love when it becomes ridiculous. So all right, so let me talk you through this. Is that the mellotron or is it horns?
That's a saxophone.
Okay.
That's uncredited saxophone by our bass player.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Chests are strapped. I'm afraid. My eyes are getting flatter. Good is happening. Hope I die.
That's one of the other things I wanted to ask you about was what other unique instrumentations are you using? I mean, you've got banjo, you've got the mellotron, so now you saxophone. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else kind of strange on the album?
Well, there's a running gag in the band where there's this tambourine part in Blue Henry that is like the one time on the entire set or in the entire album that John plays it. So that's why he's listed on, and that's why his when we listed his instruments on the album, it's first tambourine. Yeah, it's like, the joke has just like gotten legs. It's like, he's gonna play the tambourine.
Nice.
Shut up, man! He's playing the tambourine. It's happening.
Oh, you should come out with just a solo tambourine album.
Exactly. Right.
All right, so
right. Like the split 7-inch with Daniel Higgs or something.
All right, so I'm noticing in the background, is that grandfather clock the clock on the album cover?
Yeah, that's the guy. He also features in like 3 or 4 of the videos I had made for this record.
Right. Okay. So that brings me to that question: how and why did you decide to do 9 videos for? Because
we have no regard for our own safety. Yeah, no, I can't remember where it came from. It was more like, I mean, part of it was a sort of reaction formation from the fact that, I had so very rarely done any videos for other bands that I'd been in the past. Like the band, sort of the predecessor band of Resurrectionists, Work, which Jeff, our bassist, was played with me in Work as well. Yeah. Like the band was around for like 6 years, put out 3 albums, never did a single video.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, and so I was making a concerted effort. I was like, no, I'm going to plan to have videos made. And then when I started doing it, I was just like, why don't I just do a video for every song on this record? And then I had the idea of like, oh, we'll make an event out of it. We're going to have a film fest. And
That's
so,
cool.
so April 23rd is the inaugural Resurrectionist Film Fest. It's a carefully named event because who knows when there's going to be a second one. we do know this is the first one.
Right, yeah.
But I was like, I'm going to call it the first biannual. I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to have like another like set of 9 videos to play for people. So it's the inaugural Resurrectionist Film Fest.
The first occasional Resurrectionist.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's like periodic, as directed.
Yeah. As prescribed.
4 out of 5 dentists agree.
How did you guys come up with the name Resurrectionists in the first place?
It was my name for the band. I was fascinated by the idea. So a resurrectionist is it's 19th century slang. Here we go again. It's 19th century slang for the people who would rob graves to procure corpses for medical students before there was like the modern sort of donating bodies to science thing.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, so they were referred to as resurrectionists.
Oh, wow, that's creepy.
Yeah, and so I just thought I like it because I have this tendency to like to mess around with religious language and religious ideas. And so it's sort of perfect where it sounds like it's something Christian or Catholic even. Yeah. But when you know what the word means, it's actually something kind of disturbing and, criminal.
When you pause there for a second, when you said, I'm really into, I'm like, oh, don't say grave robbing. Don't say
what?
Well, I said, don't say grave robbing or
No.
Okay.
Only as needed.
Right. As prescribed.
By necessity.
Yeah. And, I guess it's kind of fitting that we are recording this the week of Easter.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So that's nice and fitting. So this album kind of has tones like it was recorded during the pandemic and maybe a reaction to the pandemic. But I believe you actually started it earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, all of those lyrics on the album that sound like they're coming straight from the pandemic are not. I was writing these songs in like 2019. Wow. And the weirdest bit, I was a lot of the lyric ideas on this record came from, I was reading stories by Thomas Mann, the German author. And so the novel, The Magic Mountain, and a bunch of other stories, most notably the story Death in Venice. Okay. So The Magic Mountain is about a bunch of tuberculosis patients in a sanatorium in the Alps.
Oh, wow.
In like the years before the First World War. So it's like this kind of, and like some of the themes on the record where it's like this sort of like great societies flying apart because, there's sort of like their language degenerates. Oh. There's this way that the Magic Mountain's kind of about that. It's about these tuberculosis patients, but it's also about the breakdown in relations between the European nations that ended up causing the First World War.
Wow. And
so like there's characters in the novel that they're sort of kind of represent these different world powers and how they're not able to talk to each other, and so that's one of the themes that ends up running through the album. And then Death in Venice is about a cholera outbreak in Venice. And so literally the line in New Winter, put the city on lockdown, put it on quarantine. I wrote that in 2019 because I was thinking about Death in Venice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then, so some of the song titles like The Rest Cure.
Yes.
cure was sort of before they had modern treatments for tuberculosis. The primary cure would be to go to like some snowy, cold place with very dry air and wrap yourself up in a blanket and lay out on these like lounge chairs on the veranda of the sanatorium in like, alpine winter. That was referred to as the rest cure. Blue Henrys were the cobalt blue bottles that tuberculosis patients would use to like, not have to look. They'd spit up into them,
right?
With like all the nasty stuff in their lungs, and they'd use these blue bottles to like collect it, and so that and I think the blue of the bottle was so that it's like you wouldn't know the disgusting stuff that was inside.
It's okay. So I was expecting it to be like a patient sat out on the veranda a little too long.
No. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah,
Henry, you get a little too blue.
Yeah.
This is fascinating. I'm really drawn into the use of language and your fascination with language. And it's really amazing. It kind of starting to make the album's making a lot of sense. And I'm starting to understand a little bit where these interesting turns of phrases that you're using come from. It's really fascinating.
Right. I mean, I agonize over lyrics. I have lyric ideas that I have copied and recopied from notebook to notebook to notebook for like 25 years.
Wow.
And then like something will happen and I'll be like, I'll finally be able to place some turn of phrase that I've wanted to use for decades, and and the sky's open and the angels sing. Yeah.
The band as a whole, so is there a lot of touring planned, or regional touring, live shows planned?
We're playing a lot. We're playing a lot in and around Milwaukee. We get down to Chicago relatively frequently.
Okay.
And we have some shows planned, like the release events and just getting the videos finished and everything kind of consumed my attention, so that I couldn't also turn my attention to booking shows.
Yeah.
And I'm also assuming that with the album out and some people writing about it, it'll be easier to book better shows when we're a little bit better known. So we're playing Caterwaul over Memorial Day weekend in Minneapolis, and then shows various places in Wisconsin, get down to Chicago when we can, and then probably late summer, early fall, I'm going to try to do a little bit more concentrated touring, like, go out for like a week or so to get out to the East Coast or take a jaunt south or something like that.
That would be awesome.
Would love to like do something like fly out to the West Coast. I don't think we have to like drive out there, but I can imagine like flying out there and playing some. But yeah, that's all kind of like once I've got the record out and we've completed all of these events related to it, then I'm going to turn my attention to actually getting on the road a bit more.
Okay. Now, a set list for Resurrectionists currently, would it be a mix of the two albums, or is it going to be mainly focused on the new one?
Well, we actually have about 5 songs in the set that we haven't recorded yet.
Oh, wow.
So we're like, we've got we're playing a record release show, and that show is going to be the album plus like 1 or 2 of the newer songs that we've been working on. And in a regular set, since we now have the full album's worth of material and I think we have 5 songs post album that are developed enough that we play them live. Right. Now that we have all that we don't play very much stuff from the first tape anymore.
Okay.
Occasionally we do, like Water Dollars, for example, was kind of a staple of the set.
Here we all are, quiet and numb under the sun of some God's storm. Let's take it back to the top, to when we were on top.
I mean, I think partially is also, the shorter ones. We can't put too many 5 or 6 minute long songs in the set. Like, I love Don't Want to Tell Them About a Girl, but if you're going to put that in a set, you basically have to build the set around it.
Ah, okay.
Because it's like 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
I mean, and on the album, Hotel with Pool is 6 minutes long, but live, we don't typically do like the full florid orchestral feedback for 4 minutes thing that's on the album.
Oh, man, that's what I want to see. The craziness, all the noise and the feedback. That's the I love that.
We do it. We just don't do it for quite as long.
Okay. I can take that. I'm okay with that. Well, look, I love this album. Like you said, you got videos for everything. Where, besides the film festival, is there going to be access to all the videos where people can see them?
Yeah, two of them are currently. So we have a YouTube channel, and they all live there.
Okay.
We're having a number of them debuted over the next couple of weeks, and so until they're premiered, they're not publicly available. And then once they're premiered, they'll be publicly available. 2 of them are currently publicly available: the video for A Classic Dictionary and the video for Hotel with Pool.
Yes. And
yeah, so those you can find.
How did you get the filmmakers involved? I mean, were they people that you knew, or all of them were people you knew? Because I know
yes,
a couple artists did multiple.
Yes. So our friend Brian Tyson did 3.
Okay.
And he was sort of the origin point of me wanting to do this. During the pandemic, we got asked to play like a virtual event, and we decided the thing to do was we did a live recording video, like a video recording while simultaneously recording the tracks into like a computer. So we did this 20-minute long live set, and Brian filmed it, and it looked really cool. So I was like, well, I want this guy to make some videos for me. And then there was another one of these virtual events, and we couldn't do the same thing again.
Right.
Where like, or give them the same old set. So I had decided to have a couple of videos made for some songs. So one of the songs from that first tape, and that the re-recorded version of it with John, I Need a Barber.
Yes.
We had a friend of mine make an animated video for that.
Oh, cool.
A guy named Tyler Wallace, who plays in a band he's from Austin. He plays in a band called Union Specific. Quite good.
Nice.
And he's also quite a good video maker. So he made this animated video for us with this cowboy falling asleep on a bar.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then Brian made a video of like a sort of pandemic recording, walking around my neighborhood during the pandemic.
Oh,
kind
wow.
of thing. So it's like walking around my neighborhood, the empty streets and the isolation and that kind of thing. And then that was the first instance of this guy showing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So we we had these videos made, and then that was sort of like what turned my head. Was like, I just want to make more videos, wanted to have, and then I just started reaching out to friends of mine who I knew made videos that excited me. Like, for example, one of the animated videos, the video for Let Me Talk You Through This One, was made by my friend Eric Arsnow, who plays in the band Devil's Teeth and had made some really excellent videos for Devil's Teeth.
Oh, okay.
And so I remember seeing one of the videos he had made for his band. I was just like, I got to get this guy to make a video for me. Nice. And he came through nicely. The video he made for us is gorgeous. And then, my friend T.W. Hansen has made videos for bands over the course of years, so I knew I wanted to bring him in.
Okay.
I originally was only going to have him make one video, but then some of the test footage that we were working on looked so cool that we built an entirely different video around the visual ideas that came out of that.
Oh, wow.
That's the whole, all the stuff with me in the white suit in the pool.
Yeah.
That comes from the videos that TW and made for us.
Oh, wow. So
yeah.
As these videos are being made, are you giving everybody free reign, or are you giving a little input into what the subject matter is about? Or?
It varied between things where like the 3 videos that Brian made for us I believe the new winter video was his idea, the kind of like, walking around in the neighborhood video.
Right.
And then the Rest Cure video was sort of like the thing that kicked all of this off, where I this sort of narrative video about the band finding this clock in a clearing in the woods, and it being 2 minutes to midnight, and we like frantically go do surgery on the clock, and we make it 3 minutes to midnight.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was like, and so I had that idea, and I was like describing it to Brian, and then he had this idea for the classic dictionary video that, like he brought an idea that like, then we sort of started negotiating basically like, things about like how I like the idea, but then we like kind of like had a push pull about how to actually bring it to ground.
Okay.
Yeah. And then another friend of mine did an animated video, and I just kind of let her run with it. Wendy Norton, she does really cool animations. Oh, and so we've got a ghost floating around in a graveyard for Hobnobbing. She did the video for Hobnobbing.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Conan did a video, and that one was his idea. It was one where he was like, I've got an idea. I want to do a video, and it's going to be kind of like this. And so that one's one of the performance-based videos where it's not really a narrative. It's the band recorded multiple times playing to the track sped up and slowed down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he would have us like play fast, like we, not quite double time, but like a speedy version of it. And then he would slow it down so that it would be, so basically he took footage of the band playing the song slowly, sped up to normal speed, and footage of the band playing fast, slowed down to normal speed, and then footage of the band playing at normal speed, and then kind of overlaying these over and over one another multiple times in different ways.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing!
And then a big fan in newspapers flying at us.
Oh man, I can't wait to see that. That sounds fascinating.
And that's one of the videos that's live. You can find that. Just go over to our Facebook page, and there's like instances of it. It's around. It's on our YouTube channel as well. So I think if you just go to YouTube and search for our name and the song name, it should come up.
Okay. And I will say that I was having a little bit of trouble because for some reason I kept putting the in front of the name, and that was pulling up other people. Yeah,
there's a couple of different bands with a very similar name running around.
Yeah, you guys have no definite article.
Right.
Well, this is, and
it's also easy to, if you're looking for us, if you just, our internet name is Resurrectionists MKE.
Okay.
MKE being the common abbreviation for Milwaukee.
Okay. That makes total sense. So, all right. So you mentioned it. Where can people follow the band on social medias? How can they find you and pick up the album and watch the videos?
Our Facebook page has probably got the most information.
Okay.
And it's Facebook, and then Resurrectionists MKE.
MKE. Okay.
Yeah.
Any of the other social media platforms at all?
Well, we have. We're on Instagram. I'm not as active on Instagram.
Okay.
But I'm getting more active by necessity.
Yeah.
And then probably the other important one is our Bandcamp page.
Right. Okay. And
which is also resurrectionistmke.bandcamp.com, and that's where the record is. The record is now available.
It's okay. So, and is it? And there'll be there's physical copies.
Yes,
available.
Yes, it's available digitally, and we have vinyl, and we have CDs.
Oh, perfect. Like I said, I've just been fascinated by this album since I started listening to it. Hey, there it is, and it's so weird to see the cover with the clock and then the clock in the background.
And then here's the Dictionary of American Slang.
Nice. Oh, that is awesome.
From 1960.
Oh.
Gotta have different eras.
Oh, so imagine the older. What's the oldest one you have?
Oh, I think probably Dictionary of the Underworld.
Oh.
Yeah, this one I believe is 1949.
Oh, cool.
This one, yeah.
Oh, that is awesome. I am suddenly incredibly fascinated by that now. That I may have a new hobby. My wife is going to be mad at you. Like the podcast doesn't take up enough of your time.
You're gonna communicate solely in rhyming slang now.
Oh man, if I could only make that work. Oh, that's a podcast right there.
Yeah.
So every week a new rhyming slang. No, I'm not even gonna go there because I'll actually become obsessed by that then. Well, thank you. This has been great, man. It's been a pleasure talking with you and learning about the album and how it was made and just all the really cool stuff that's happening around it. I've really, really love the album.
Oh, thank you. It's been a lot of fun talking to you.
I appreciate that.